Hey there, everyone. Ervin here again to bring you 5 new tips and tricks for stealth in Helldivers 2. It's certainly been a while since I released a video into this series, but I do believe I've been able to come up with some new tricks worth talking about yet again that should enhance your stealth gameplay experience should you apply them. If you haven't seen the previous 3 videos in the series, although the first one definitely has not aged well quality wise, the information in them will be as valuable as this one. So if you're looking for more stealth-based content after this video, I've got you. That being said, on with the tips. The first tip I want to talk to you about is what I commonly refer to as the vibe check. When you first land on the planet, it's difficult to immediately ascertain what kind of situation you are in before enemies have a chance to spot you. Often, nearby enemies will even immediately begin rushing towards your Hellpod's landing sites, making it difficult to avoid an immediate confrontation. For these reasons, I'm advising all would-be ghost divers to immediately prone as soon as they leave the Hellpod. This sounds pretty simple, but when leaving your Hellpod, your character is not in play yet. The first second the enemy is able to actually see you is a second you could be prone. By going prone here, we make it far less likely the enemy can immediately target us and call reinforcements before we even have a chance to take a look around, most times allowing us to slip away from our landing site completely unnoticed. This is going to be especially helpful in those situations where you've accidentally landed right next to a jammer. The last thing you need is an immediate reinforcement call on top of the situation. So, make sure your team is passing the vibe check, ghost divers, and if they're not, well, scatter like rats. There is virtually no benefit to fighting reinforcements on the location you dropped in on. Immediately begin moving away to use the reinforcement cooldown to your advantage, which we will talk about again later. Tip number 2, let's talk about how to lose pursuers. The enemy will become alerted to your presence. This is just part of reality, especially when you start blowing up all their buildings. So being chased down in a hail of gunfire oftentimes likely feels like a fact of life, but it doesn't have to be, at least not as much as you're probably experiencing right now. So here is how to best break pursuit from the enemy. When advancing in the opposite direction from our enemies, you want to be ducking behind as many walls that obstruct their line of sight as possible, not just because they won't be able to shoot you, well, most of the time. At least when they don't just stick the gun through the wall and shoot you anyway, but anyway. Also because every time you break line of sight, the game rolls an internal percentage or check to drop the pursuit. The chance of them giving up increases based on their detection range. So, once again, Scout Armor makes a big difference for this playstyle, and you should probably be running it. Detection range is also, as I've covered in my previous videos, reduced by weather effects, none so more than blizzards and sandstorms, as well as nighttime. Popping smoke grenades on yourself or running through smoke that obstructs the enemy's line of sight will also force a check on the AI, whether they can continue the chase or not. So, use a combination of these tactics until the bullets stop flying. Unless you get soft locked, which, nothing you can do about that. Maybe Arrowhead will fix that soon. Number 3, we're going to talk about how to utilize smoke to evade reinforcements and pursuits, as well as protect yourself from detection while utilizing objective equipment. If you've ever found yourself on the cusp of completing a terminal objective only to have a patrol walk in, this is a clutch maneuver. The objective equipment forces you to stand, meaning any nearby enemy will almost certainly spot you and open fire as a result. But if we pop a smoke grenade off in our hand before standing, the enemy is unable to draw a line of sight to us within the smoke cloud while we finish the objective, meaning we can then afterwards lay back down and crawl away, or run out the opposite side of the smoke from the enemy, avoiding the engagement entirely. In a similar fashion, when a reinforcement call is coming down on you, being within a smoke cloud as the enemies drop into the map will prevent them from tracking towards you with a pretty high degree of success. Once you leave the smoke, they may still find a way to path towards you due to an enemy you previously alerted passing that status onto the dropship. This is, however, a good habit to form regardless, as it very often produces the desired results overall. Number 4, let's talk about how to properly bait and play around enemy reinforcement calls. Enemy reinforcement calls on Helldive difficulty have an internal cooldown of roughly 2 minutes. This internal timer begins as soon as you see the tag at the top of your screen disappear. By optimizing our game flow, we can use this to our advantage. To do this, we want to always prioritize enemy outposts while the drop is off cooldown. Then, push main objective sites or sub-objective sites during that cooldown period. This is because we can easily take any outpost out using just our stratagems as we've talked about in previous videos, which will almost always result in a reinforcement call coming in, if it's off cooldown, that is. We then, during that call, immediately beeline for the nearest objective that we're going to be forced to go inside for, such as anything that requires a terminal. We can clear out the enemies as necessary to make it to the terminal without worrying if reinforcements can be called in. This tactic is especially helpful if you're able to communicate with your teammates, as you can wait patiently outside of main or sub objectives you'd rather not have a reinforcement wave on, until a teammate is able to bait the reinforcements away from you, giving you all the time you need to complete the objective, no problem. The localization confusion booster also increases this cooldown by 30 seconds should you decide to bring it, giving you even more time to work with between reinforcement calls. This tactic especially is useful when dealing with the new gunship fabricators, which brings us to our fifth tip. Gunship fabricators have been the bane of stealth gameplay since their release due to how their mechanics work. As soon as any Helldiver enters their 150-meter radius, the gunships spawn in. A single tower will produce one gunship per wave for a team of 1 to 3 Helldivers, and 2 gunships for a team of 4, while a double fabricator will produce 2 gunships per wave for teams of 1, and 4 whole gunships when against a full team of 4. These spawns have no limitation, meaning hanging out within their spawning radius without destroying them can quickly spiral the game into a death loop for those that come unprepared or are unlucky enough to drop in too close to them. To make matters worse, the gunship fabricators also have an array of light bots standing guard underneath, which, as we talked about in my previous videos, means they can have the alerted status passed on to them by the gunships. When this happens, there is a 100% chance if that bot drop is off cooldown that they will perform one, meaning we would then need to push through potentially waves of 4 gunships that we have to stay ahead of, mind you, while pushing through a reinforcement wave to get on site and plant that hell bomb. This can be next to impossible. Alright, so how do we handle this? Easily every single time. First, make sure your drop locations are always at least 150 meters away from enemy activity on the map whenever possible. Easier said than done, but trying to maximize the distance between us and any would-be gunship fabricators is essential for our success. Once we've located a gunship fabricator, it's of course imperative that we all stay more than 150 meters away from the location. Otherwise, the spiral may begin. We kick things off by baiting a bot drop 170 to 200 meters off-site ideally. This is typically not difficult to do, as those light bots have very itchy flare trigger fingers. Once the bot drop is on the way, we begin pushing full force towards that gunship fabricator. Take the ships out with your support weapons of choice, my preference being either the autocannon or the quasar, although many support weapons are viable for anti-air. As soon as you get on location, dispatch all the guards to make sure they cannot activate the bot drop should it come off cooldown here, as you will likely be running out of time about now. Call in the hell bomb and throw a smoke grenade under the terminal as it lands. The enemy is unable to target your hell bomb if it's within a smoke cloud as it spawns into the game, as they cannot draw a line of sight to it as a result. This ensures any rogue patrols walking in are unable to stop the detonation. Then, simply leave the area and proceed with your mission as normal. You can make these missions even easier by finding an artillery sub-objective with a mini nuke inside, as these are the only other way to destroy these gunship fabricators besides the hell bomb, or a nearby SAM site, which will fire rockets at the gunships, easing your approach. In all cases, though, you will easily be able to take care of these objectives whether in a group or alone every time using this strategy. Granted, getting your group to coordinate this plan is going to be extremely difficult in quick play, and not everyone wants to dive alone. So I bring you the solution to this problem as well. In the description of this video, I'm offering you the opportunity to make the second most important decision of your life by joining the Ghost Divers, my community Discord where you can find like-minded individuals to squad up with that understand the importance of subtlety and not firing at every enemy you see. The Ministry of Truth promises 100% of our surveys that we've conducted have reported a 103% increase in our divers' efficiency and matchmaking satisfaction. So what are you waiting for? Enlist today! That's gonna do it for my 5 new tips for stealth I've got for you this time. There definitely is nothing as satisfying for me personally in Helldivers 2 than a job well done quietly. Hopefully this video has helped you further your enjoyment with this style of play as a result. Thank you for watching till the end, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
And now, another helpful tip from General Brash. Eravin has brought us invaluable information on how his unit operates so efficiently in the field. For this, I'm ordering all active Helldivers to like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. Failure to do so will result in the railgun being nerfed.
Brass tactics! Use them or die trying!